Hello and welcome to TV9 Digital. I'm Abhijit Singh Bhamra. In this special show, we'll discuss on Indian track and field star Dutee Chand, who's in the news for breaking the 100-meter national record in just 11.17 seconds in Patiala. But more than her exploits, we'll be talking about a book which is written on her, which is aptly called as The Fiercely Female. And alongside me, I have the author of the book, also Mr. Sundeep Misra, who's also the sports editor for TV9 Digital. Welcome, sir. There's a lot of talk about Dutee Chand whenever this name strikes us. So what is it that motivated you to write a book on possibly a controversial and also one of the most biggest stars in Indian track and field?
Yeah, when you say a big star, I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean, Dutee with 11.17, as you said, a couple of days back in Patiala, she just missed 11.15, which is the automatic Olympic qualification. But looking at the 11.17, I think she's already up in the rankings to probably 40, 41, 42, which should put her into a super position in terms of going to Tokyo, which is a total field of 56. Coming back to the book, what prompted me to write this book, probably 3 years back or probably just before 2017, I think it was just before the London World Championships athletics. I met Kartika, who's the publisher of Westland Amazon, and we were just chatting away, having a cup of coffee when the New York Times had published a piece which was basically on her and how she took on the federation, she took on the world body, and she won a case, and she said that, hey, this is a good story to write on. For me, honestly, it was a great opportunity. You know, you're getting a chance to write about a track star, you're getting a chance to write about somebody who's from my state, Odisha.
Oh, yeah.
So for me, that was something that I grabbed. And yeah, I mean, after that, I started working on the book, and well, it's here now. So,
well, the biggest thing for me, or rather the eye-catching thing, is the title of the book, which is Fiercely Female. Now, you could have gone on for any kind of title. Any reasons behind this? I mean, like this looks absolutely attractive and also beautiful at the same time. But any reasons behind this title?
A lot of credit goes to the team at Westland,
okay,
because they came up with this. I thought at that point of time, this was apt, this was perfect, because when you look at what she's gone through as an athlete, what she's gone through as a person, what she's gone through as a woman, you know, when she fought that case, and then the whole gender issue, and then the hyperandrogenism, all the accusations that were pointed at her, like, oh, she's a man, she's not a woman. I think Fiercely Woman actually talks about her. Fiercely Woman is what Dutee Chand is. Fiercely Woman is something that I think the title sits very nicely on her as an athlete, but largely as a woman.
Okay. Now, Dutee is one figure, one track and field star, which I wouldn't say creates controversies, but controversies just follow her. And writing a book on a controversial figure can lead to controversies, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't think the book lends itself to controversies. It's actually looking at the controversies that happened in her life. And when you look at a controversy, I don't think she created any. When an athlete is about to go to Glasgow for the Commonwealth Games in 2014, and then she's pulled off the team, and then she said that, or she's told rather, that go for a blood test, go for this test, and go for that test, and then suddenly the media comes up and says, kya aap aadmi hai? It's soul shattering. Let me put it in a very, very simple perspective. If tomorrow a man is asked, ki, tum aadmi ho ya aurat ho?
Yeah.
How will that man feel? I think at that point of time, what Dutee Chand felt was like, can this earth swallow me up kind of a situation,
Yeah.
I mean, how can you say a woman or talk to her like that? But the worst part was that it came out in the media. Journalists started writing about it, journalists started following her, television channels wanted a story, they got a story, and then she was sent to Bangalore where, the entire thing erupted further, and then they flew her down back to Bhubaneswar. She entered a village, she stayed there. There was nothing happening, in her life at that point of time. She was off the team.
Yeah.
And then suddenly somebody out there probably looked at it in a very different manner, and then the cases and everything followed, which she won eventually. And that's how I think when you say controversy, I think that's the only part about her life that was really controversial. She fought it, and today she's standing where she is.
Now you also belong to the same state to which Dutee Chand belongs to. So is there any connection, any kind of leads that you can tell us, anything lesser known stories which you might have covered in the book?
I think when I was doing these stories at that time, the 2017 Asian Track and Field was being held in Bhubaneswar at that time. So it was slightly easier in terms of reporting those stories. It also got easier because our village, Gopalpur, not to be mistaken for the resort Gopalpur, but rather the village which is near Bhubaneswar, it's an hour-and-a-half drive from there. What I saw in the village was a very different life than what we kind of normally see. It's one of those absolutely wooded, forested, lot of coconut trees, all of that. But behind that particular coconut trees and the whole greenery of it with the river flowing next to the village was poverty.
Right.
And that's where she rose from. She rose from a position where there was no food at home. And today she's built a 3-storied house where her family lives. There are 3-4 cars. She drives a BMW. So in a way, those are the stories that came through. But I don't follow so much as, whether you're driving a BM or not, because those are the perks that come. As you rise in sport, as you become more famous, more popular, there are a lot of materialistic things that come in. But what happens outside of it is what I try to figure out. And that's where the stories of her sister, her mother, and that's what gave me a huge amount of satisfaction for putting them into this book.
Sandeep, as an author, it is rather, so easy to turn emotional because as a people, as a country, whenever you look at sports persons, it's very easy to have an emotional connect. And for you, coming from the same state also gives us an implication that, there is an emotional connection over here as well. So how you were able to overcome all those emotional connects and then writing and, rather impartial book on a track and field star?
No, I didn't want to distance myself emotionally, honestly. And why should I? It's an emotional connect. The reason why we do sport, the reason why we report, the reason why we write track and field, the reason why we write hockey, the reason why we do cricket, football, tennis, or whatever sport you call it, is because there's a connect. If there is no connect, you're not going to write.
Yes.
Then you'd rather work in a bank, just go there, do the ledger and go back home at 5:30. Yeah. But here the emotional connect is what helped me. The emotional connect is what really brought me 6, 7, 8 times traveling to Bhubaneswar, trying to do this particular story, going to London for the World Athletics, which is probably one of the great high points in my life, to watch her run there. For her to come into the mixed zone where there was nobody except me, and then this whole 6, 7, 8 crews coming, and telling me to translate what she is going to say in Oriya. And that time, Caster Semenya case was also on. So, all of these cannot be done unless you have an emotional connect. And for me to disconnect to write a book probably would not have brought what I can bring to the book in terms of emotion in it.
Yeah.
So I think, I think I'm happier doing that connect. And I think the book is also probably a little better off with that connect itself.
Right. And also, if you see, or rather if you have followed, which I'm sure you have followed Dutee Chand's career, but from the outside, whatever we read on Google, on internet about her, she has gone through a lot about the case in Switzerland and to facing the wrath of the fans or even the media out here. So I'm sure that thing is also mentioned in your book.
Yeah, the case is like a 400-page thing, For me to go through every page was difficult because it's a legal thing. You need to understand the differences in gender. You need to understand what a lot of people are saying. You need to understand what Paula Radcliffe, the world former marathon champion, says. A lot of athletes had to weigh in into this. Paula Radcliffe is one of those people who's very against the gender thing, If there is hyperandrogenism, if there is extra testosterone in a woman's body, she should not be competing in a women's thing. So the case was itself like a huge point.
Yeah, it was.
And even when I met Bruce Kidd is the guy who actually started all this. He heard about this in Glasgow, he got in touch with Sai, and then he ensured that she had a lawyer. And the lawyer came from Toronto who said that I'll do it pro bono. The cost of the case was $1 million. They did it for free.
Okay.
A lot of credit goes to Gigi Thomas, the Sai DG, who said, I'll fight the case. Kitne paise chahiye? 1 crore chahiye? Main de dunga. You know, so Sai stood by her. But at the end of the day, Abhijit, you got to understand that whoever stands by her, she comes from an absolutely small village, a village nobody has heard of. For her to say that you told me I am a man, now I will take you on.
Right.
I will take you to the court in Switzerland. I will take the world body to court. I'll take AFI to court. How many women, even from cities, are willing to go to court over this?
Yeah.
She came from an absolute village. She said, if I don't fight this, then for the rest of my life, I am branded in a particular way. And I'm not going to sit in that window. No way. I'm not going to sit in the village and say that, okay, क्योंकि आप लोगों ने मुझे ये बोल दिया तो मैं वो बन गई. No. I'm going to court. Of course, a lot of people helped. Like I said,
yes.
Bruce Kidd or Gigi or Payushni, the lawyer who fought for her. So I think those are the big things that I try to simplify and put it in the book. And I didn't want to put a whole case into it because it gets difficult reading. And I think that is what the takeout from the book is.
Now, Sundeep, you talked about the Switzerland trial, and it was all over the media in 2014, 2015, and then when the decision came out. So, what kind of changes you saw in Dutee before the trial and once she won the trial? It's not about just winning. Like you said, it was about her identity. So, what kind of changes you saw in her before the trial and after the trial?
Yeah, before the trial, she was this woman who was trying to hide from everything, you know. Even in the book, it's like nobody knew for almost 2-3 days what she was doing in the room. You know, she was sitting by the window having a cup of tea, but the whole thing was dark. You know, the entire horizon was dark, the world was dark, her life was completely, you know, under the shadow that, okay, you know, how do I get out of this whole thing that I am a man?
Yeah.
You know, the mother's crying and saying that, you know, I gave you birth, I know you are a girl. How did they do this? You know, where is the evidence? Where is the science in this? So when she stood in court, because it was her last, where she had to go and say it on her behalf, and she couldn't speak English, you know, in terms of the legal language. So she spoke in Oriya. And the speech that she gave there was mainly on the lines that, you tell me that I'm not a woman. How? I'm a woman. I was born a woman. I'm going to die a woman. I'm going to run a woman. And I'm going to live a woman. You first prove it to me. That's when the courts had to step in and say that, okay, fine. Unless there is evidence, unless there is proof given in terms of science, we just have to take the case back. And that's how the case was taken back. And that's how she ran 2016 Rio after qualifying.
Yeah, and also in 2018 Asian Games, we saw what happened.
That was brilliant. I mean, honestly, I never expected her to probably pick up a bronze, but I never expected that she's going to pick up a silver I mean, when she was running on those tracks, it was very close. She could have gone for gold. And when when the line came in, you know, and when you saw her finishing silver, you actually thought it was gold.
Yeah,
and that close. Moment will always remain etched because you never think that an Indian woman is going to go there, except for PT Usha, of course.
Yes.
I mean, those days were different.
Yeah.
Now, athletes are very different in terms of domination, and she was dominating at that point of time. And watching her win 2 silvers is one of those high points.
It's just stuck in your head.
Yeah.
So, Sundeep, like you said, that, you know, she comes from a village, from a background where you don't expect women to come out, and she not just came out but also challenged the norms of the society. She openly declared herself as gay. So how did this transformation happen? And I'm like, if you can tell us.
It all happened in Switzerland. It all happened when she won the case. I think the start point was once you beat the World Federation.
Yeah.
When I say beat, let's not take it in a very different way. Let's take it in terms of legal. When you beat AFI, who didn't stand by you, who actually leaked out your name, that, you know, okay, she's not a woman, she's a man. I think the moment she won that, the moment she started running, she felt free. That freedom that came to her, that now I don't have to answer to the male members of this society. I don't have to answer to power anymore. That's what probably made her realize that whatever she says and whatever she feels is her own self. And when she said that I'm gay, I think it came from there. I think the strength came from there, that okay, if I'm gay, I'm gay. Why should I hide it? In this country, how many are hiding it? In cities, in bigger cities, everywhere.
Yeah.
But for her to come from a village, to become an athlete, to go on and become Asian silver medalist, or go on and become the world university, in Naples, she won the World University Games gold medal. For her to say that, yes, I'm in love with a girl and I want to marry a girl, was a massively big thing. Even today, when I meet her elder sister, and just by the way, it's her elder sister who's probably sacrificed the most for her. And even she says that the family derives strength from her. The village derives strength from this girl. Of course, when she came out as openly gay, the village was like, what is this? How can a girl marry a girl? But slowly and steadily, they all understood not what the game was, but what the emotion was. They didn't think it was a headliner.
Yeah.
They slowly realized that this girl has an emotion which we need to understand. And that is how everybody understands her now.
Sundeep, when it comes to the Indian track and field athletes, you can literally count them on fingers. And when it comes to even female athletes, first you had PT Usha, now you have Dutee Chand. So also the kind of impact she had on Indian track and field athlete. Does your book also cover that part of the impact which she had on Indian track and field?
I think it's an ongoing process right now. I mean, the book is at a stage where, let's say, honestly, even if she's run 11:17, I don't see her in the semi-finals in Tokyo, because the timings are all below 11. People are running 10:63 today. Shelly Ann's run 10:63. There are people who are running. Dana Asher Smith is running 10:70, 10:80, 10:83, 10:90. Close to 10. So for her to go to the semi, she really will have to run 11:10, which somehow is beyond my comprehension coming from her. The impact will probably come later. So she's still got very decently 3-4 years. And when I say 3-4 years, you had the Asian Games in 2018, the next one's in 2022. So I think that is a place where she can actually have a massively big impact. Run the 100, run the 200, run the 100 relay, and also probably try and latch onto the 400 relay. I think that was the domain of PT Usha.
Yeah.
When she won 5 golds and 6 and all of that, I think that's where the impact will be. But largely, when you look at the impact that is left by a sportsman, by an athlete, I think that impact will only come after the career.
After the career. On that note, Sundeep, thanks a lot for talking to us. And for all you viewers out there, what are you waiting for? Just go and grab your copy of Fiercely Female. And so that's all what we have for you in this special show. Thanks a lot for watching, and for all the news and updates from India and around the world, keep watching TV9 Digital.